Talking workstation or battle station, workstation stuff, desk stuff, setups.
Yes, something along those lines.
Yeah, battle stations. That's accurate. That's
That's
typically what we call
you
them.
don't have a battle station. You have like a
I have a
Borg
command
infestation.
center.
You have a command center.
It's a
with
Borg cube is what
multiple
it is.
battle stations.
Hey, Project Mega Desk has so far been a success.
God,
Mega desk.
Mega
Really?
Desk, yeah. Because I put two desks literally together and made one giant desk. It's Project Mega Desk. I mean, come on.
and not side by side together.
No,
like,
no,
like
it's
stacked front to back together.
yeah, it's with yeah. Wait,
I mean,
with hi.
I know that this is a
Yeah, width, because length's the other way. Yeah, length, width, height. Oops.
Stop touching your mic, John.
I hit the cable, Steven. We can edit that out.
No, we're definitely.
We're
keeping
leaving that in. It's fine.
I have the
Yeah.
power again.
So we'll cover battle stations and setup, things like that.
And I understand that setup is a culmination of multiple tries at different setups in your office around your entire office. However, it would have been well, I guess not. Okay, no, I take back what I'm thinking. I was gonna say it would have been more effective if you just got a table, just a big table, because that's all it is a big table. But its current iteration is you have like the standing desks like in the front half, and then the back half is stationary.
Because I did consider it, because that same slab I'm going to be using for the dining room table, which is like 6 foot wide by 35 inches deep. That's what I was going to be considering, purchasing another one of those and doing that same thing. But this one gives me 26 and 3/4 inches like wide themselves. So it's
How many
like
square feet do you have for desk?
it's
You're gonna have to start measuring it in that.
it's a lot. It's excessive, but it's amazing.
You've at least got like 15 square feet worth of desk.
Yes. It takes up
Good grief.
it takes up pretty much a third of the room as desk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just that one desk,
that
because
one-
there's other desks. as
Actually,
well.
no. I think it's almost accurate to say, you'd have to measure to verify this. I believe Megadesk takes up 1 quadrant of the office.
Oh yes.
Like you could divide John's office into quadrants, and one of them is Megadesk.
Yes.
It's more than just. It's like 1.5.
You think it's
at
more than 20?
least,
Like,
yeah.
Should we describe what Megadesk is for the listeners?
I will let you describe it. It's your desk. Describe it.
All right. So Megadesk was, I used to have, I did custom, an L-shaped desk before, where I had 2 separate setups there, where I had, personal stuff and then a work setup there with, dual monitor displays on both. I got tired of that. I wanted to consolidate everything down to just one simple setup, simple in huge air quotes, by the way. And I took both of those tabletops, that was the L, and I put them together. I put a 55-inch 4K 144 hertz display as the center display, 2 27-inch side displays, and one of the tabletops is attached to standing desk legs.
No. Describe the 27s.
Oh, they're 1440p, 165 hertz.
How are they mounted to the desk?
Oh, they're on arms. Everything must be on arms. That should have been a given.
Where?
On the sides, on the far ends of each side.
They look like Shrek antennas.
They don't look like Shrek antennas.
They definitely do. That or your desk has side mirrors.
That. It's definitely that.
And not side mirrors. His desk has toe mirrors.
But when you're sitting in the actual proper spot of that desk, all you see is just everywhere you look is a monitor, and it's amazing.
You're just surrounded by screens.
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
been the
next.
end goal. Do you guys know what the true ultimate desk setup is? Is that, remember in Parks and Recreation when Ron Swanson was having to do all of those public interactions, and he was at that desk that's just a circle in the
Just a
middle where he just
circle,
turns around? That, but that's just you
With all
get
monitors.
yeah, but they're curved monitors.
Yeah.
So it is a full circle of displays. That is the end goal.
That's
Finding the mouse is going to be the worst thing in the
so.
world.
Would you say this is technically? So this is Megadesk.
Yeah.
But it's technically Megadesk 1.2 because you had them both on fixed legs first.
Yeah, but that was just proof of concept.
But that's still like 1.0.
No, that's before 1.0. That's like a beta version.
Okay, so you had beta. So would you call this 1.0?
Yeah, I would call this 1.0.
Okay, so Megadesk 1.1.
Yeah.
You need to upgrade the 27s to 34-inch ultra wides, curved.
I don't know if
I've
that
always
could
wanted to get
fit.
like a 360 setup where it's just like curved monitors all the way around.
Yeah.
No.
So you could like spin and just see everything.
No. I've got it.
Oh no.
On the arms that you have, you may have to get beefier arms, but
No, those are beefy arms.
okay. All right, so on the arms you have, you need to get.
That's a clip right there.
You need to get. You need to get a dual VESA mount that fits on the arm, and then do a horizontal and then vertical 27-inch setup on each arm, and have the verticals inside and the horizontals on the outside.
I have a problem with that.
You don't have enough monitors.
No, I don't have enough display outs on the current graphics card for that.
That sounds like a challenge to me.
How? There's only a
More graphics cards, duh.
They don't support multi-GPU setups anymore.
Not tied together. You just have two separate graphics cards.
Oh,
And some of the monitors go on one, some of the monitors go on the other.
Such a
one.
waste. I'm basically buying GPUs, and then I'm having to put water blocks on them because the entire machine's water cooled. That's such a waste.
A waste.
This isn't really a waste type conversation.
Somehow we found the threshold for John. After all this time, we found his threshold for reasonableness.
And for the record, what is that threshold?
Having to put in a separate water cooled GPU just for extra monitors?
That one.
Yeah. Now, if we could still
So
do
if you
like
just had air cooled GPUs, it'd be fine.
no, because that's still a pain in the butt. I could technically do that with the media server now. That's dual GPU, but it wouldn't be as good because those. I don't know actually what protocols each port on that is using for its display port and HDMI. If it can drive high refresh rate.
You just need to get good and get graphics cards or a graphics card that has what is it? Is it Thunderbolt 3? That's the minimum where you can daisy chain monitors. You just need to get monitors that have Thunderbolt 3 so that you can have.
Can they run high refresh rate?
I'm sure they can at this
Typically,
point.
yes. If they have bougie features like that, they usually include like FreeSync or
There's also Thunderbolt 4.
G-Sync or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
4 out. Okay,
Yeah.
I kind of
I was
figured
saying
that it
like
was out by now.
what's
but I wasn't
the
sure.
what's the throughput limit on that? Because I mean,
10 gig, at least.
I'll have to look into that. I don't know. That's
Because they have.
I would like to
Aren't
put
some of the new graphics cards coming out with multiple Type C ports on the back? Well, they're Thunderbolt ports.
some of them, but they're also reducing like either the amount of HDMI or DisplayPort you have to put the additional USB-C.
Right, but if you had the appropriate compatible monitors and the right number
if those
of
are
them,
if those are Thunderbolt, because you can use USB-C for just standard DisplayPort out.
yeah.
That's what a lot of them do.
But
It's
what
not
you're looking,
Thunderbolt
what
compatible.
we're looking for is so right now
It has to be a card that's Thunderbolt
you have a
compatible.
total of 3 monitors, right?
Uh-huh.
So all you need is for the wing, the peripheral monitors to have this compatibility, so that you can have your one regular display out to the 55, and then you have 2 display outs that go to each side, and then the 4th and 5th monitors daisy chain off of the 2nd and 3rd
So
monitors.
I have a question.
Sure.
When are we hitting the threshold of just excessive at this point?
Again, I can't believe I'm hearing this come out of John's
I'm
mouth.
so glad we have this recorded.
Right?
Because this, like, usually we're yelling at him to stop.
Yeah,
No,
I'm going to have to
'cause-
save this like on a flash drive in a vault,
Yes.
so that when he gets
No, 'cause
dementia, he can't ever
We
say
all
that.
need copies.
But
Separate copies.
But pulling dual monitors on each side, kind of it's a little bit of more of an annoyance than anything. I'd rather just put flanking like 42-inch like nice displays on each side.
We need several of these statements
That
etched
wouldn't
in
be-
stone.
Yes.
That wouldn't be excessive. That would
Well,
actually
are
be
these,
functional.
Are these horizontal monitors or
But then you might like
vertical
bang your.
monitors.
You can
bar
technically do
monitor.
either.
portrait or landscape?
Yes, because I actually since mine are on flexible, I rotate them all the time.
No, but I'm saying in this hypothetical
Forget it.
scenario that
Forget
Steven
all
is
of it.
describing.
Forget all of it. Just get 2 more of the 55s, and you need a triple display of 55.
Just pull everything
God.
away from the wall.
It already
Put
is.
Four 55 inches on the wall.
No, because then
Just
you,
take
I,
the
I know
wall.
what you're talking about, but no, the issue is then you have the bezel and where the displays will not line up correct. I do know the technology and the type of display that you can for that, or I just finally invest
This isn't
in.
to play video. This is just to.
This is the guy that was
monitors.
talking about just, what was it, last year or year before? You were talking about getting enough monitors to do a ticker board around the top edge of the wall?
No. It was doing similar to what the Gamers Nexus background has, where you have a 3x3 like wall displays that I could use.
You use the word ticker board.
You know,
you used the word ticker board, and I said that's a good idea.
Oh, okay. Pardon me. That's how the
No,
conversation
I
went.
wanted that for the home lab so I can have each one of the current hardware solutions I have in there plugged directly into its own native display, and then I just have a KVM I flip in between just for USB inputs.
So you know what would also be a good idea?
Hmm.
We hit the button.
Oh, I was actually waiting for a good spot to
Which
do
button?
that. Welcome to the Hostility Morning Show. I am your host, John, joined here today by...
Nathan.
Matthew.
Steven.
What are you giggling at?
Well, so
Nunya.
to start our conversation off, we wanted to talk about monitors, right? How many monitors does everybody use? What orientation, and to get Ian involved in this, since he's not here, I sent him a Teams message to ask how many monitors is too many. His response is one more than your computer can support.
Which is the perfect answer to that question.
Yes.
That's actually fair because what you're suggesting for me to do is exactly that scenario.
You need to do dual GPU, triple GPU, something like that,
I mean, it would be interesting just to put in like a low-end support GPU just for display out purposes. You could technically do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, at that point, why wouldn't you just go with like a full like wall display like what TCL has, like those 100 and like
Go for it.
like 48 or like it's like 120 inch or something, whatever that is.
Sure, it sounds like a great idea.
I mean, if you're on
that.
board, okay. Can I borrow 10 grand? I will pay it back when I can.
Yes, I'll write you a check.
Perfect.
Don't cash it for a while.
That'll
Like
work
a
for me.
long while.
Well, we spoke a lot about my current setup and my preferences, which is pretty much I'm at the stage of my life where screw having just a few like pretty good monitors, just put the biggest display you can possibly fit on the desk, and then now you sit too close to the display, so now you got to make your desk bigger. What is your guys' preference when it comes to monitor layouts? And let's go at kind of two ways: function, and then like your actual dream kind of setup. Steven, go on ahead.
My turn?
Yeah, your turn.
So honestly, I'm a triple monitor guy. So if we're talking about I think there is more than one way to look at this because obviously this extends nowadays to all professionals. I mean, everyone uses a computer for work, and so there's a lot of different ways that people work, and so there could be a lot of different answers to this. But for talking about like having a fixed desk, a workstation, if you will, that you go to every day, I like triple monitors. I think that I could survive off of dual monitors if they were big enough, but yeah, triples are definitely triple 27s are ideal. That's what I have at the house. But for me, ideally, triple monitors that are on some kind of a VESA stand that gets them off that not on their stands, because it blew my mind and kind of changed my life when I did my whole wall mounted setup, and got all of that desk space. You have no clue how much there is there until you get rid of those stands, and then it's just oh, I can put all the things back here.
And then wait till you experience your own mega desk.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't know about that. I like the L shape. I've got an L shape, and then I've got like a little on the L on the right. I've actually got 2 other monitors that when I work from home, I kind of have that separate. I can just turn to the right, and that's my little workspace. And then I have my massive 3-monitor personal space that pretty much just gets used for Discord and YouTube. But it's still nice. I just like having, like, especially for work, I like having communications in their own place.
Mm-hmm.
And where I got the triple monitors is we use email and Teams heavily for work, for communication. And for browser, doing research or doing work, or remoting into machines, doing all that kind of stuff, somehow I can tolerate alt tab, like flipping through that kind of stuff. And then sometimes I'll move it off to a screen here and there if I need to have it referenceable quickly by turning my head. But communications, I like having it in its own place on its own monitor, where when I see a notification, it's a head turn away. I can just turn over. Okay, there's a Teams message. Blah blah blah. Respond, talk, whatever. Cool. Back to work. Back to work in the middle. Oh, I got an email. Turn my head this way.
Wait, so you have your communication stuff pulled up at all times?
Yes.
You work a different job than I do, so I can't judge too much.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it though.
But I did, and I think we briefly talked about this the last time I worked from home. I did test out because I got a new monitor. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Got a great deal on it, but I've got it set up. It's my very first horizontal and then vertical beside it. I've never used that before, but I wanted to try it to where I actually had, like the way you do it, where it's I have email on top, Teams on bottom. Because I mean, a 27-inch vertical to me is plenty big for enough space to like see everything you need to see, where it doesn't feel too small. And after using it for a day, it felt all right. I'd have to get used to it a little bit. The one thing I didn't like, and I think this is more so my setup, it's either my stupid laptop or something. It would not let me snap, because I had, it's set up in Windows as the portrait orientation. But I could not snap the one screen on top and then snap the one on bottom so they would auto orient. I had to manually orient those, and I feel like that's something it should do.
Are you in 10 or 11?
10.
10. Okay, I was gonna say I use 11, and it does that.
And that could be
fancy zones. But 11, they actually updated the Windows management. Windows management and how all that is laid out. It brought in a lot of the Power Toys plugins natively directly into the OS, which does help with that. 10. It's really good about splitting it horizontally, but that vertical split to actually have everything stacked is not so good.
Yeah. But once I got it set up, it's kind of nice. So I don't think that even if I get to use it more often, I still don't think that would dissuade me from saying my preference is triple monitors.
Yeah.
That's kind of my solid go-to. But to the question of dream setup, I'm a simple guy. And so really, I feel like my dream setup would be just one step further than what I already have, and do the next step that I thought that I wanted was just replace the center 27-inch with a 34 ultra wide, and then just have the flanking 27s, because I have the flanking monitors are on arms, and the center monitor is a fixed, just tilt only mount. So I can actually bring them in or push them out. Like I can kind of do stuff, because every now and then I'll do a little bit of photography, and I have my 4K on this side, and I'll do photo editing just on that one.
Yeah.
So when I do that, I don't have to constantly be like craning my neck over and stuff. So I'll actually like sit in the middle where my keyboard and mouse is, and I'll bring that thing almost 90 degrees to where it's overlapping the edge of my center monitor, to where it's literally just turning my head, and it's like right there where I can see it. And then I'll push it back out when I'm done. But I think now probably Probably my ideal setup would be replacing the arms on the outside with ones that are capable of swiveling the display. So it's still a arm that I can move around, and it's tilt, but it's also swivel. And then do what's the next size up? Is it ultra wides are 34, 38, 42?
Yes, I believe so.
So basically just a little bit bigger ultra wide in the middle, like a 38. And then most times have the flanking monitors portrait vertical. And then if I wanted to do like my editing or something on the 4K, have the ability to turn it back landscape and then kind of alternate between those.
Okay.
I think that would be a really cool setup.
I mean, it's very, very functional and very easy to kind of get a standardized workflow through that.
Like I said, very simple guy.
I don't know what that's like. No idea what that's like. Speaking of things that aren't going to be simple, Matthew, why don't we go ahead and
you dunk on me for having an overcomplicated setup, but honestly, like I feel like my stuff is a lot simpler than y'all's is.
Mine's not that
just an
complicated.
iMac, right? That's all you need.
Just a Mac.
Just an iMac.
Yeah,
Just
like
I mean, honestly,
I wish we could show the picture of the last time
Honestly.
you set of your setup. It's just like, okay, that's all right.
So
Interesting.
I only had the iMac on the desk for like a couple days while I
Yeah.
was working on setting it up, so I could have stuff running on the side while I'm still working on everything else. And then now I'm back to what I normally have, which is a 30-inch monitor in the middle, and then two 21-inch portrait monitors on the sides, so flanking it. The reason for that is like I did the you have 3 horizontal monitors or 3 landscape monitors for a while, but I noticed that if I wanted to do anything, typically it's not just like a slight head turn or just you can move your eyes.
Yeah.
You have to like turn, and then that was getting to my neck quite a bit.
And then sometimes, you get that lean in your back.
Yeah, and it's just it
Like
was
you
not.
got to move with your lower
Yeah.
back, kind of shift over.
Yeah, it just wasn't pleasant. If you had to do anything for a long period of time,
Yeah.
like an extended period of time, looking at any of the separate monitors. So now I have the main monitor. So if I'm gonna be working on anything, it's in the center, and then I'll have typically like notes on the right, and then some kind of documentation or something on the left.
What kind of notes?
Well, these are org documents. So
Okay.
org mode is it's a markup language.
Okay, we're
that
not going down this rabbit hole.
Extended
We're not going
syntax.
by this rabbit hole.
I use it in Emacs, which is the extensible
Okay.
macros
Well, let's-
editor.
Let's circle
On
back.
one of your 21-inch monitors.
Let's
Yes, on one of my
circle
20
back.
inch
Okay, so
monitors.
now we know kind of your base setup.
So yeah, so that's the, for me at least,
Yeah.
that's the one that makes the most sense. If I need to have, honestly, there's some days where I feel like I could go down to just one monitor, but then I have like a Teams call or something like that, and it's handy to have the full window on one of the sides instead
Yep.
of like that little picture-in-picture view. And
Yeah,
like, one
because
of the
I've
corners.
definitely become a believer in that, like applications that are formatted for email clients, communications like Teams and Slack,
Yeah.
social media that are scrolly, that are vertical scrolls.
Yeah.
Vertical monitors make the most sense
Yeah.
because it gives you the most at a glance information because that's the way it's kind of intended to be.
Yeah.
used
Well,
and
and then
viewed.
for the reading experience, I noticed there's some websites now. I go to like very very simple websites where there's very little styling and stuff like that, and so sometimes people are very 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 lazy and they don't have any kind of text centering. So if your browser extends beyond a certain point, usually like if we look at Word right here, everything is centered in the document, right? So that you're not having to read all the way across the screen and then the next line and then all the way across the screen. Your eyes don't have to move that far.
You hear that,
principle for-
notepad? You hear that?
yeah, the same principle for like vertical monitors. Even if the website doesn't do that automatically, the vertical monitor forces it to do that.
Gotcha.
Right. So I really like that. And then working on stuff in the middle is great. So I make heavy use of virtual desktops. So now it was first it was like when I had the horizontal
virtual
monitors.
desktops, as in like the Windows virtual
Yes.
desktop that you can have the task view.
Yes.
Yeah, that type, not the traditional VDI virtual desktop.
Not
or-
a virtual machine virtual desktop, like a
yeah, just for that,
workspaces virtual
just for
desktop.
that clarification.
Yeah. And I have the same setup. So I have 3 virtual desktops, and this is how I kind of maximize my monitors without having to have more monitors, because it's just control windows and then arrow key either left or right to kind of navigate between them. But I have 3 in the middle. The middle workspace is whatever I'm working on at that moment. So if I'm like in a database or if I'm working on a project or something like that, it's in the middle. Left is the browser. So that's where like fresh service was what we use for tickets and everything. So fresh service will be pulled up. Anything else that I have to have pulled up in the browser, that's over there. And then the right one is I'll have Teams on the left and then Outlook on the right in the center monitor. And then one of the cool things that you can do with virtual desktops is you can, it's not called pinning a window, but you can select a window to show on all desktops or an application to show on all desktops. So when you switch back and forth, it stays there. So usually how I have it set up is I'm working on stuff in the middle, and then documentation is always on the left, and then notes is always on the right, and they just float with me. So I can like take a note and then move between the different contexts and still have it there. So it's pretty sweet. Anyway, that's kind of my dream setup right now. Like I had, before I moved to the standing desk, I had a similar setup, but it was I had a 27-inch monitor in the middle. I had 2 21-inch monitors on the sides, and they were horizontal. They were landscape at that point. They weren't portrait. And then I had a 30-inch TV that was mounted above everything and then like angled down towards me. That got to be a little too much. Because then I noticed I was like, having to do the turtle and like crane my neck up way too much.
When you lay out those, you have to think about ergonomics heavily.
Yeah. Well, and that's where the portrait monitors, everything is, I have a lot of space, right?
Yeah.
So there are 2 1080p monitors on the sides, and then it's a 1440p 16:10 monitor in the middle. So I have enough screen real estate and DPI to work with that I can fit a lot on there, but I don't have to move hardly at all.
I have a question though, but for that specific setup that you're talking about at that point in time,
the 4 monitors with the TV above.
Yes.
Yes.
How did you handle in the Windows display settings where the flanking 21s that are lower resolution?
Oh, so at that point they were
Where
all
did you have
1080p.
those vertical on the side of the higher resolution monitor? Like how did you have your mouse movement?
At that point everything was 1080p. So like the 30-inch monitor that I have now is 1440p.
But still you had a larger monitor in the middle and smaller ones on the sides. So that still doesn't line up.
It still doesn't quite line up, but
so did you have it oriented? Like as far as your seamless mouse movement, did you err towards the bottom or err towards the top?
What do you mean seamless mouse move? I don't know what that is.
Usually, I guess I would err towards the top.
Towards the top. So to move between the monitor, and maybe this is just me.
Yeah.
But I've had this situation, and technically I have this situation now. Oddly enough, because I have 3 27-inch monitors.
Yeah.
They go 1080p, 1440p, 4K. So my Windows display settings, it's little, medium, big.
Why don't you put the
1440p
that I sold you?
Because I put that on the work side.
Yeah, put the 1080p on the work side.
No, because I need a higher density. I want the pixels on that side for the vertical.
So you just do
the
one
that you use least.
You just do one.
No.
Do one setup. So this is the
nice
thing.
Right. That's why
my setup.
I haven't gotten to his level of surround monitors yet.
Well, so I have it set up to where,
but again, I did what pretty much the setup that you have now, except it was dual monitors on each, and that was great for a while. But man, I just get tired of having to. Okay, I'm working over here. I need to do something over here. So I'm working on the right side. Now I go back to the left side. Now I go to the right side, back to the left side. It does get
a little tedious, but that's because I'm on carpet. If I could do the hard floors in the office, then I'd golden.
True.
Because then it's just a hip movement.
Yeah, but now it's super nice because I put everything now just on one setup, and it's just I need to go to the other setup. I hit a button on a remote and it switches. I need to go back, hit a button on a remote, and it switches.
So for the work stuff, well, for one, like my setup is almost identical between my office at work and my home office. Like the monitors, almost exactly the same. I have different portrait monitors, but I have both the 30-inch monitor at home and the 30-inch monitor at the office. They're both Dells. So it's like almost seamless going from one to the other, which is really nice. But for working from home, I don't have a separate workstation. What I do is that I have a laptop provided me by work, and then I just remote into that with my home desktop. So that way, there's a barrier between.
You say barrier.
Yeah, there's enough of a barrier.
No, barrier's not the right word.
That's
actually a portal. Into your secure work laptop.
If I was actually your IT manager, we block those types of connections. We don't allow that type of stuff.
It's called a compromise.
Not a compromise. It's a risk
potential
factor.
Compromise.
No, it's a risk factor, and we want to eliminate as many risk factors as possible. So we want you working off the native machine. So we have no problem issuing you that laptop with a dock and maybe 1 or 2 displays. That would be that compromise there, or at least issue you the docking station in the laptop, and you can plug that into your current peripherals.
Because you've installed the software, you've installed the ability to remote into, gain access remotely, and have full function of your work laptop remotely. If that connection is compromised, now the attacker has the same access that you do.
I mean, I had no problem if you want to plug that thing into
it's not to say that you're not doing it securely. It's not
to
say that you're not having good practice.
Well,
it's just you've introduced a weak link to the system.
Yeah, as far as installing anything on my home desktop, it's just RDP. I don't have to VPN or anything since it's on my network.
Yeah.
Now, to get into all the machines at work, I have to.
But how secure is your port 3389 on your local network?
Beats me.
Exactly.
Should ask your IT guy.
That's the thing here. And I'll help you out on that one. There's some firewall rules and stuff, how you actually access 3389 on your network, and make sure it's only, you have to be on your local LAN and no one can get it from the public LAN. There's things.
Need a firewall.
Yeah, there's things that you can do to help secure that a little better. I'm not saying
I've got a Network Plus book that you can borrow.
And here I just want this for posterity's sake on the record. Last episode. Was it last? No, it was episode 12. John was telling me that I overcomplicate things, and here he's like, "No, you can't just RDP into your laptop. You have to.
Different.
You need to get a docking station. You need to get separate monitors. You need to have a whole separate workstation. You need to do all this other stuff.
Yeah, for security, yes. So you haven't quite learned this yet. When it comes to IT security, or actually any security at all, you have to play a fine balancing act of convenience to secure.
Yeah,
and there's a line in there of either where it's too far, where you pretty much come it's like your house. So most people have deadbolt on the front door, deadbolt on the back door, locks on the windows, right? Yeah. For some people, that's good enough. You're great. You're secure. Others have a home security system with motion sensors, brake sensors, things of that nature, and they say that's good for them, which adds another complication in there where they have to make sure the system is armed and troubleshoot and all that fun stuff. That's not enough for some other people. Some people need to put bulletproof glass and hardened doors and
auto turrets on the roof,
stuff like that. It adds more, and that's the same thing on the IT side, where there are known risk factors that you have to account for, and you want to be able to keep your infrastructure as secure as possible, but not, or at least limit the amount of impedance you're adding to the workflow for the end user. On your side, yes, it's very convenient just to have the work laptop there on your network, run it headless, you just remote in, and it's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome, but that is a risk factor. And to mitigate that, we issue you that docking station. If you want to use your current work setup at home, you plug that into your current displays, and now you're not having to compromise on the software or the network side to access your machine. You're just working out of natively with your peripherals. And that's a much better situation from the IT security's perspective.
And
I guess I just don't understand what the security issue is with RDP.
And that's the thing. Well,
there's a lot.
Also, in this case, while again for your purposes in your network, the things you do, you have that certain standard, and there's certain. It's this is good enough for me. In this case, we are talking about your work device, so you don't really get to dictate that. You kind of you should defer to your work's IT, their security standards.
Well, and see, that's where I get having
obviously
it on
they haven't,
network, there are risks there. I don't understand what the additional.
Because port 3389, if they actually,
what's port 3389?
3389 is the standard RDP remote access port.
What it uses to
that is
on the laptop in this case.
For RDP in
anything
general.
using RDP.
Okay.
Yeah. For RDP in general, port 3389 is just the standard port people access through it.
Yeah.
So one of the attacks that a lot of, compromises happen is known as port sprays, where they see your network. They find, like, whatever reason your public IP winds up on a list saying, hey, this has a weak firewall or something on there.
Mm-hmm.
They go and decide, okay, that IP address, let's go try to connect to it, and then they're going to port spray on that IP, listen for anything that's on there.
Yeah.
If they can gain access to your local firewall, they report spray from the local firewall for anything on those common ports, and then say, hey, look, your work laptop is here, or hey, your personal machine is here, or something like that has remote desktop enabled. Cool. They now know that device is live.
They can remote desktop.
It has 3389 enabled to it, and now they know that device is there. They have a known protocol they can start getting into with it. Now they're going to start attacking, most likely a password spray on that device to try and brute force into it.
And that's the thing. They're not going to necessarily. They're not going to
Well, but that's
remote
because
into
it's on
your
my
computer.
That's because it's on my network. That's not because I'm remoting into it from my.
No,
my
but because
desktop.
you enabled remote desktop on that machine,
IT
that is now
enabled it. This wasn't something that I
Okay.
enabled. So
well,
this was provided.
if they
to me.
approved
Yeah.
it,
And again,
it's fine.
Yeah, and this
Like,
goes to, like, you have to defer to them. But I mean,
Yes.
hey, if they're not
that's
doing
their
due
policy
diligence,
and they
then
allow it. That's fine.
No, I don't have. I have a lot of access, but I don't have access to like group policies and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
but that's
So
where I
this
said,
is-
like,
yeah.
when it comes to me being the IT manager and managing these types of
You'd make your life miserable.
infrastructure like that. No, we hard block that, because in our experience, and I experience this literally every time I build a new virtual machine in any type of Azure infrastructure, 3389 is it's not enabled by default, but for you to actually access it the first time, you have to enable it.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you do that, that's a public IP with that port that people commonly go and like, oh, hey, cool, there's a new machine out there that's on this port. Start attacking it. Every single time you start seeing login requests from outside of your own requests.
Mm-hmm.
That's just known. And what your IT did for your work laptop is make it that much more vulnerable. Not saying it is vulnerable, but you move that goalpost closer to that side, opening up those types of scenarios.
I feel like this is the situation and the problem we run into a lot as far as getting things across to end users from our side of things. It's all of this sounds very demanding and inconvenient and all of that. It's just
To an extent,
we can't just consider what's reasonable. We have to consider what's possible.
Yeah.
It's not whether or
No, I
not
get that.
this, because I mean, I've heard this umpteen million times. Oh, we're a small little mom and pop shop. Those attackers, they don't care about us. They're not gonna attack us. That doesn't matter. That is an irrelevant position to take.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of attacks they're casting wide nets. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person, what your business is, what type of industry you're in.
To an extent.
The majority have nothing to do with that. They are simply getting lists of things and attacking lists of things.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be on that list, yes, you are going to get attacked. And so if you don't do at least some due diligence in heeding our warnings and doing some things, then it's a numbers game. It's a percentage game.
Yeah.
You have a higher percentage of someday getting attacked than if you take some measure.
Yeah. All that to say is what you're doing bad? No. It's just your organization needs to know what are the risks you're taking by allowing that.
They may or may not get an anonymous tip.
Well, and again, nothing on you. I don't hold that against you at all.
It's a numbers game. It may or may not.
And that's why it's like, for my setup that I have, yeah, it'd be super nice to be able to run my current work laptop headless and just RDP into it and not have to deal with any of the other mess I just did, which I had to install an HDMI KVM in there because I can't RDP into it. What's the next best thing to have a unified setup? Put a KVM where I can have all my shared peripherals now be accessible for multiple machines without having to have multiple keyboards or multiple mice and monitors and stuff on my desk.
Did you mention that your KVM has a remote control?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It also has software control, but the problem is that KVM is a little particular in the type of keyboard you have plugged into the keyboard port. So only some
like a PS2.
No. It's USB 2 based, but there's a actual approved.
I mean, you can't get more particular than that.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. Go
Nathan,
ask them.
what's
Yeah,
your
this is a very
setup look
long-winded
like?
way just to ask that question.
What kind of setup you rocking?
So mine is like as
the most simple setup you can, not the most simple, but pretty close.
A laptop.
That's the base of it. So I have a USB-C dock, a very nice dock, 2 monitors, and my work laptop. Just plug that into the dock. Off we go. Work is done. Unplug the work laptop. Plug in the personal laptop. Off I go.
Question.
I love that.
Do
That's
you
actually really nice.
Do you have the little angly stand off to the side for your laptop,
Or do you have the vertical stand?
There's not. I don't have a stand at all. There's not enough room.
Do you leave your laptop open?
No.
Or okay, so you're using it as the
so
machine.
I run.
I'll send you something on Amazon that's going to help with that. So you'll kill your laptop.
So I run a. I keep the laptop on the desk. The work laptop stays closed.
Do you RDP into your work?
There's
No, it's
so
not. I have a policy that disables that.
I actually can be. I can be lazier than that. Because I have to have my laptop plugged in anyway.
Yeah.
You have to put it on power at some point. And so my dock, that's how it powers and then connects to the monitors. So literally one plug, that's one cable, that's it.
That's how docks work.
And I can be the laziest, it's the laziest thing possible. And then I have a Keychron, I forget the model. I have a Keychron keyboard with that's a built-in 10 key, and then I have a Logitech MX Master 3.
Oh, those are nice.
And then that's my battle station. So and then it is I forget the brand, but I also have a standing desk.
Okay.
Fully motorized. Love that thing.
Standing desks are where it's at.
Steven, you're now left out.
I'm the only one, and I
Ian doesn't
considered.
have a standing desk.
He doesn't have a stand. We need to get him. He of everyone here,
The
he actually
majority here,
needs
the
a
majority
standing
here
desk.
has. He's been looking into one,
Yeah.
but the majority here does have standing desks. So we got to get you on board, Steven.
Well, okay. There's one issue I have with it. I did originally consider a standing desk for my setup, and I was going to do, well, not the same, but kind of similar to. I was going to have one side of my L standing and the other stationary.
Mhm.
I think I was going to do the center. Well, anyway, monitors are hard mounted to the wall. They cannot change height.
Oof.
So that's a bit of an
Mine's
issue.
on a Vesa arms on that they're
Yep.
locked onto.
Mine's on a
Same.
2x6 that's
They
screwed
move
into
with
the
the
wall.
desk.
So that's
Mega Desk
point
doesn't care.
number one. The other thing is
just
when
renovate your house so the wall moves up when your desk does.
I actually know a product that can fulfill that need.
No, you don't need a standing desk. You just need to mount your desk to the wall and make the wall move.
I could have it all on a platform.
That's
it's
your
like a hydraulic
dream
platform.
setup. There's your new dream setup.
Don't tell me with a good time.
I know some stuff that can make that a reality.
God.
Actually,
Anyway, but the other problem is so when I envisioned this desk setup, I had a particular look that I wanted for the desk itself.
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, I was looking around there was a particular look I wanted for the legs. I did the butcher block countertop for the tops, and I finally found the stain that I wanted to use. So they're the right. It's just a medium kind of wood grain. Big fan. I'm a woodworky guy. I like wood accents. And
Steven
stuff.
loves his wood.
Love me some wood. Boy, that's going on the internet. Anyway, but I wanted that whole like wood and metal combo.
Yeah.
Like kind of that rustic metal look. And so I was looking around on Etsy. I think it was Etsy. No, it was another company. Found some metal table legs. It's a hoop style, and it's literally like they're heavy. They're, I think 3/8 inch thick, 3-inch wide bar stock that is bent in 4 places. So it's like bent up at the bottom, and then it's bent at the top with tabs, and it's one solid piece of bar stock metal, and it's bare metal that just has clear coat on it. And that was like exactly what I was looking for as far as an aesthetic.
Yeah.
And they were very expensive, and I found them. They were like 30% off, 30 or 35% off for like a Memorial Day sale, like 3 years ago. So I bought them because I was like, these are never going to be any lower than this. So invested a decent amount of money in those, and then they sat for a year before I actually got around to building the desk. So I'm kind of invested in the actual structure of the desk itself, and I could not bring myself to like take 2 of those out and then replace them with the whole standing doodad. It would be cool.
Let's just add another slab then.
Oh, just a whole nother desk?
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
I thought of it.
No, we talked about that. I do actually have another desk that I want to put on the other side of the office, but it's a heirloom and doesn't fit with any of this.
No, that one I agree. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to fit. We're not making that a standing desk.
But it's not impossible.
How much does it weigh?
I'm gonna say in the neighborhood of 100 pounds.
Okay, actually, yes, we can make it a standing
Somewhere
desk.
between 1 and 150, I would think.
Okay, yes, we actually can. I know a few standing desk companies that have legs that can support
just like
that
feet
weight.
that can extend, like can raise a desk like that.
Yes,
because this is like an old school style. It has like the drawers built. It just has that little nook for your legs to go in, and then it's like I think it's 52 inches wide and 32 inches deep.
The problem with that, to be able to make it standing, there has to be some modifications done to the desk.
It's wood.
All right, as long
Wood can be modified.
I know, as long as you're okay with that. That's the thing.
I'm not opposed to brainstorming the idea.
Okay, we can talk about that.
That would be kind of an awesome project. So Nathan, we've talked about your setup. What would be your dreams? Do you have it like are you simple enough that that's good for you? Or do you have if you could change anything, is there like a dream?
27-inch iMac cinema displays on the left and right with the $1,000 stands.
So realistically, it would be, it would still be a standing desk. I don't remember the dimensions. I would get a larger one, so larger tabletop.
Do you need more width or depth?
Both. I need a little bit more width. I need a little bit more depth.
Gotcha.
For what I currently have, it actually fits perfectly. But I would like.
We don't like fitting perfectly.
I could go larger, and I would probably like an extra. Probably an extra 6 inches in the depth, and another foot in the width would be good. I think that would help out a lot. Some type of tower, some sort of tower PC.
Yeah.
It would have Linux.
And I probably have with holes in the front.
No, it would be it would
resemble
run,
a cheese grater.
It would have both Linux and Windows.
Okay.
Oh,
so that would be the desktop. And
what distribution?
What?
Shut up! We're not getting into that argument.
We're not having that discussion now.
There's so many options.
I think last time I looked, ViewSonic has good.
Yes.
Yes. It would have to be. They'd have to be color accurate. I'd have to be able to do photo video work on them.
Yeah.
So inexpensive comparatively. Video photo monitors too.
Are you not a LG fan?
It could be. I think those are more expensive.
They are a little more expensive
for that. So
I'd say realistically, they're middle of the road
okay.
For what's out there. But yeah, they are.
It depends on what side of the color accuracy you want.
Well, yeah.
So the lower the expense, the better, because I'd rather put the money
acceptable color accuracy and not have
good color accuracy. It has to be good color accuracy, but it doesn't have to be.
He doesn't need
Apple
the gaming
Cinema.
Well,
display,
but
so
technically, as long as you have you get a display that has like good sRGB adjustment, you can get the doodad and get the.
I'd want
calibrator.
I'd want a factory.
No. Unless you are actually a licensed calibrator, do not calibrate yourself. I would recommend
just put the doodad on the thing and it does the little color thing and it does it for you, right? Doesn't it spit out a number and you just put the number in?
You're hurting me in multiple ways. Please stop.
I can tell.
Yeah, because the one thing that a lot of people have not learned or just doesn't know, color accuracy is not just dependent on how accurate the display is from the factory. It's also dependent on the setting and the lighting you have in your existing room, because you actually have to calibrate all of the pixels and the color temperatures and everything to what's also being reflected in your room. Because if you only do it to saying, hey, it needs to just be by these factors here, and then you do that, it still is not technically accurate yet.
Well, then
It's,
how
it's
is
why
it
colorists work in caves.
No, I get that, but then how is a color accurate display just from the factory better than something that you calibrate yourself? Because wouldn't those calibration devices take into account the light in the room?
It technically can, but a lot of
the factory certainly can't.
So the factory does, but the factory is doing it to a set guideline and standard that they have to meet for the conditions in which that display is being tested, not for the conditions in which it's going to live in. There is a difference there, and you want to cover just certain areas of the spectrum.
Then a
of
color
what it's trying
accurate
to do.
display from the factory is not, in fact, color accurate
It's
because everyone's office is going to be different than the factory.
You're not wrong.
So,
but you're also not completely
I
correct
want the little
either.
doodad that I stick on a screen and it does a little flashy colors.
That's more. It's more than just that.
Do not want the doodad. I want to open the box. I want to stick it on my mount.
Sure.
And call it a day.
That's fair.
That's all I want.
Okay.
And so color accurate from the factory. I'm not going to be doing. I'm not a colorist. I'm not going to be doing that level of editing. So it's irrelevant for what I would do. So two monitors, desktop, probably 27, 30 inches, something like that. Probably honestly, I'd probably want 30 inches, 32. Honestly, I like the keyboard I have. I like the mouse that I have, and then probably a 14-inch MacBook Pro. That way I have all of my OSs covered, and realistically for what I personally would be doing, that would do everything I could possibly need that was be mobile.
Yeah.
Because again, you have that monitor, and yes, you can get PCs with excellent monitors, but they would be PCs, and I would want one Mac in the chain somewhere. So that's the most. That's
it's
the most.
His dream.
Yes,
it's his dream.
It's a dream setup, and it's
again we're OS agnostic at this table, Stephen.
We have.
I literally just said I would have all.
We're watching the screensaver on a Mac Mini right now.
I literally just said the workhorse would be Linux and Windows.
Sure.
No, I mean,
but you can't do Windows on Macs currently.
But the again, he's talking about two different machines though. Yeah. So the main desktop that he would have that would be the nice, kind of what he said towards the gamery one would be running a dual boot Linux and Windows on it, and then the Mac would be running Mac software.
Yes,
Mac
is that what they do? Is that what Macs? Macs run Mac?
Mac. Well, it sometimes run Mac. Sometimes it just pinwheels and crashes on you.
Sometimes Mac runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dream setup.
Nice.
No, that's a very.
I think we forgot.
Good little setup.
Yeah, Nathan mentioned it. We forgot our mouse and keyboards. Mice and keyboards.
That's a long rabbit hole that I can go down.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have right now?
What do I have right now? I have a compact Alice layout, Ajazz AK something. It's a programmable keyboard. That's as brief as I can make it.
What's your mouse?
Similar to John, the trackball. I've got a forget the brand name, but it is a trackball that is designed to where it's a right-handed. You use your thumb for the trackball, and then you use your fingers for the.
I do like those.
Trackballs are highly underrated.
They are.
They really are.
100%.
If only they were good for gaming. That's my only thing holding me back on the main display.
Trackballs are best when you have very, very, very limited desks real estate.
I think I actually tried that one time. What game was it?
I used to growing
Just use a controller.
No, I mean I got really good at Unreal Tournament on a trackball back in the day. I got really good.
I want to say I tried something like Battlefield 4 on a
God.
trackball. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was an experimentation night. But again, like I didn't even have one of the nice trackballs like y'all are talking about, and I still have it. I have the Logitech. It's the UFO shaped, like the elongated gray one with the big red ball in the middle, and then it has the buttons on either side. No scroll wheel, which is my problem with it. And that was a trip trying to it was a first person shooter for sure what I tried it with, and it was only the one time because wow, no, we're not doing this. So I have a very eclectic mouse and keyboard setup. I've only had the mouse I've had the mouse since 2018, and I had another one before that. But anyway, I've had my keyboard is a Corsair K70. It's the red LED version from 2013. But it's a mech keyboard. It's got Cherry MX Reds, and it still works, and it's still a great keyboard. And then I've got a Logitech G502, the wired version. I really want the wireless 502.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of.
But originally, and I still stand by this because I loved this mouse. It just died. I had a Mad Catz Rat 7 adjustable mouse. I still have it hanging on my wall in my office.
As you should. That right there is a trophy.
Yeah, no, that thing will forever live. It may be technically a wall of shame, but it's still has a soft place in my heart. It was just the adjustment. I loved like the fact that you could adjust it width-wise, not just like, up and down or weight or whatever. Like you could actually do the spread of like your thumb and dial that in just where it's really comfortable. And then the palm, like you can make it lower or high. It's so good.
Yeah.
The actual function of the mouse was, it's okay. But man, it was comfortable.
It did not have the best sensor.
Not the best,
I remember
no.
that.
And it did die. But yeah, the G502 is a very close second. I mean, that's just a solid mouse.
It is a good mouse. I got off that mouse a few years ago. I did enjoy it, but I'm now going the reverse. So my 502 was the Hero Sensor based one, and then I threw every single weight that came with the mouse in it because I used to love a heavy mouse, and it was phenomenal.
I think I took my weights out actually.
Yeah.
I think I had them split like had two of the big ones in, and it was like on either side. I think I ended up taking them out because I started erring on the side of like just the lightness of the mouse. Like,
yeah, I'm still
nice
the weird guy where I still play with Hisense, so like I have really high
you're
DPI.
a flippy boy.
Yeah,
like
it's great.
Flip it back and forth.
Well,
like
in a very small area of the mouse mat that I constantly
Sure.
wear a hole into, and I have to get new mouse mats. But no, I've had the same peripherals, at least core peripherals, for a while. Where it's still, I think it's the second generation of the Corsair K 63 wireless or K65 wireless.
It's the 10 keyless, right?
Yeah, it's 10 keyless with Cherry MX Reds, so linear switches in it. And then I switched from the 502 to the 305, the Logitech mouse, the little small one. And I really enjoy it because it's full wireless, just a simple AA battery in it. Lasts like 8 months. And no, it's great.
I've considered many times getting, because I have the desire to go wireless for both keyboard and mouse, just to get rid of those wires, because the K70 has, I like it, but it's just annoying now. But it has the single thick cable that comes out that terminates to 2 USBs.
Yep. And
then it has the USB pass through on the back of the keyboard, and I do use it, so that's where my mouse is plugged in. But it's like, okay, that's fine, but like the mouse wire then goes back down and then loops around and comes back again. And so like I just have the excess like bundled up and zip tied back behind the desk, and that likes to come up sometimes.
Now I do want to eventually, since
but the thing is, the keyboard is so good and it's so reliable, and it just works.
It
like
does.
I can't bring myself to buy something different because I would end up, I still like red keys.
Yep.
If I ever get something else, I will probably experiment with blacks, because they're the heavy reds.
Well, and that's my thing, is I want to actually build the next keyboard, and I do want to do
Yeah.
with hot swappables. So I actually want to try different switches because I do prefer linears. I've done many with tactile bumps and buckling springs and things of that nature, and I just prefer the linear switch. So
Yeah, and for all of you people out there with your clicky boy switches, just how dare you?
I like my Cherry MX
No.
Blues.
Stop
I
it
really
right
do.
now.
So I had a
You all do
before
it
I
to
had
be
the-
obnoxious.
Before I had the Alice keyboard, I had a full size forget the brand name of that too, but full size keyboard with the Cherry MX Blues in it. They were like KLH box blues or whatever.
yeah.
But I really liked that. But then I moved to the
Are you on
smaller-
Gatoron switches?
I think the current one does have Gatorons.
Okay.
Um,
Is it Gatoron or Gatoron? I've heard it
I've
both
heard it
ways.
pronounced like 300 different
Yeah.
ways. It depends on who you ask. But I have something like that. I have Reds in my one at home, and then I convinced my boss, which I didn't really have to convince him. He was like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll get you a keyboard." It got me the same thing at work, but with blue switches. And
Your
I
work
really like
Your work
bought
gave you
you
blue
a-
switches.
What?
Are-
Did
are you
they
in your
not
o-
know what they
Are
were?
you in an office by yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we have there's
They could still probably hear you from the next building.
no there's 5 offices, but it's my keyboard is honestly it's not that loud, and I'm not a heavy typer either. Like
Oh, I'm a heavy.
yeah,
I
don't-
slam
I don't
down on
mash
that
my-
keyboard. Oh,
my
yeah.
buttons. I actually.
That's why I like the linear switches.
I did the. I did.
really like the feel of the blues though, like that.
But
that
that's the
click
thing.
at the
and
end.
I
It's just-
correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that I recall that at one point in time I knew the weights of the different, at least the different cherry switches, because I went down that rabbit hole a little bit. But if I recall correctly, the reds and the blues, they have the same weight. It's the same spring weight in both of them. The only difference is the blues are clicky and the red ones are just a linear.
I like
So you're
the
not
clicky.
getting an advantage
I don't
with the
care
clicky.
about, it's the
It's
the
feel.
irritating
It's the-
clicky sound?
it's the tactile feel. It's
You want
the
that? Then get
tactile
Browns.
feel. The Browns. So I have a blue
Because
keyboard,
they give you the bump without the click.
2 reds and a brown at home, and the brown ones, it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. And honestly, the audible click makes a little bit of a difference. It
Yes,
really
and
does.
irritating everyone around you.
Well, I don't work in a cubicle farm, sir. I have my own office. So I get to close my door and just be in my own little world. And my little world
So
has
loud.
blue switches in it.
They probably also have real walls.
Well,
We
okay,
do.
That's a fair point.
We do.
That's a genuinely fair point. We don't. We
Well,
have very thin walls.
What else is a fair point is we're about out of time, so I've been your host, John, joined you today by...
Nathan.
Matthew.
Steven.
Hey, Steven, can you go ahead and sign us out? Where can the people find us?
The people can find us at hostilityinthemorning.com.
And from there, you can visit the rest of the web.
All the web, because it's in a browser. So if they're interested in finding us other places,
If
they can find
Hostility in
us.
the Morning isn't good enough,
If it's not good enough for you, then you can find us on X/Twitter. It's going to be at Hit'em Show, HITM Show. Instagram at Hostility in the Morning. Facebook at Hostility in the Morning. HostilityInTheMorning.substack.com. Or you can just take the Substack out and HostilityInTheMorning.com. Everything is there on our website, as well as YouTube. That's just at Hostility in the Morning.
he had it right to begin with. You
I
guys are the
know.
ones that messed it up.
I didn't mess anything up.
Yeah,
I
you
just,
did.
What did I do?
Have a hostile morning. There's always one. In every group, there's always the blue guy.